Hello, everybody. Welcome to King Shit Talk. I am your host, Salid, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in again. I'm so very, very, very happy that you are here because it feels like I haven't seen you guys in like 3 months. I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but it feels like longer. So I appreciate you. I'm extremely, overwhelmingly excited about tonight's show because we're going to be talking about Black authors changing the writing industry through self-publishing. And the guest that I have tonight is a self-published author herself. She goes by the name of Hybrie. I'm going to be bringing her up in just a second. I have some questions for her, and hopefully, you guys can get a better understanding on self-publishing, a better understanding on authors, and get a little bit of insight on this thing that we love called writing. Without further ado, I'm going to bring her up now. How you doing,
Hi,
Hybrid?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazingly wonderful. I was just telling the viewers that we're going to be talking about Black authors, and not only Black authors, but uh, Black authors in the writing industry that are self-publishers, and how that's changing the industry as well. So you're a self-published author yourself, right?
I am. Yes. Yes, I am.
Well,
Yes.
well, well, I'm gonna jump right into the questions that I have for you because I'm interested to know, your answers on some of this stuff. The first
Okay.
question I have for you is how old were you when you started taking writing seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, I've always known that I enjoyed writing. And I think, my passion for it kind of just progressively grew with age. So I've always been someone that when it comes to verbal communication, I feel like I'm either too sweet or too spicy. So at an early age, writing kind of became like a cheat code for me because I got to take my time and really think about what I wanted to say. So I've always loved writing, and I think it just kind of naturally progressed for me. So by the end of my high school experience, I was editor in chief of my school newspaper. Shout out to the U Times, and my high school, University City High School in St. Louis, for allowing me to be a leader in that space. So that was kind of the first time I was like, okay, not only do I want to be a writer, but like I can be, and I can be published and share my work with people. So naturally, I majored in journalism and psychology initially when I went to Clark Atlanta University. But once I got there, I noticed that the mass media department was very much preparing us to be in front of the camera. And I was like, oh, I just want to write. So I spent a lot of time at the library in college. And for those of you who don't know, Clark Atlanta shares a library with Spelman and Morehouse. And it's really a big library. And we used to call it Club Woody when I was there. If y'all don't call it that anymore, please don't judge me because I feel like I'm dating myself.
Now,
but
why did you guys call it Club Woody?
it was popping. Like, it was people from all of the schools there. There was like a cafe. The library was like 3 stories. So, I spent a lot of time. Yeah, it was an activity. So I spent a lot of time in that library and I started reading more fiction and nonfiction. So I was reading, Michael Eric Dyson and Bell Hooks, but I was also reading Zora Neale Hurston and Richard Wright. And so I started realizing that the type of writing I wanted to do was more so writing a novel or even short stories and not so much journalism. So that's when I really started to take seriously, okay, journalism is not the type of writing I want to do. I can go ahead and let that go and get serious about and focus on preparing to be an author. So I started writing my first book when I was 18. So The Life and Times of an HBCU Drama Queen, I wrote that between the ages of 18 and probably about 23, and then published that when I was 24. So that was my first project. And I guess you could say that's when I started to really take being a writer seriously.
Now, two questions just popped up in my head that I don't even
Mhm.
have written down to ask you, so I'm throwing the curveball that I said I wouldn't do. The
That's
first question is the first question is, were you apprehensive at all when you first started sharing your work? And two, how did you know that you wanted to self-publish? I mean, did you just navigate that yourself, or did someone show you how to do that or teach you how to do that?
for sure. So the first question, it was absolutely scary to share my work in that way. I will say that because I write fiction, that gives me like a little bit of a safety net because I can be like, I'm not the main character per se. I'm just sharing these things. So that made it a little bit easier. But it is scary. You're putting your art out there and allowing people to judge it. But analogy that I always give myself around feedback or criticism about something I've written is like, when people go to the art museum, they look at all of the paintings and they have their interpretations of it. And some paintings really resonate with some people and they really don't with other people. And that's okay. And so I developed the mindset of like, when people read my book, it's like they're going to an art gallery. And some people are going to linger a little bit long on that piece and other people are going to walk by it because it's not their thing, and that's okay because people are allowed to do that. So I hope that answers the first question because yeah, it was scary. I had to retrain my thinking around that. And as far as your second question, I absolutely have and had and will always have help with self publishing. So I think we share a mutual friend slash writing mentor. They go by the
Mhm.
pen name Samia, Melissa Collins, and I would not be published without her at all. It doesn't matter how many times I do this. I'm be calling her and texting her like, "Can you please help me?" Because it's
Yeah.
it's a lot, a lot goes into it.
Mhm. And I absolutely agree because I just got off a call with her before, we did this. So yeah, I'm in the same boat when it comes to that. I
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be published right now if it were not for her, and I am publishing as well. So definitely shout out to her. Now,
Yeah,
what was your inspiration to be a self-published author?
yeah. For me, I think it's always been about empowerment and freedom. So I know a lot of really great writers that are holding on to their work because they want to be published traditionally. And no shade to them. I think for me, I just wanted
Mm,
to be able to tell my story, to tell the stories that I've written when I felt ready to, and to share those. So for me, it's just having some autonomy over my art and over my work. I also have a full time career. So I think that self publishing has allowed me to be flexible. I can take breaks when I need to from when I'm writing, and I don't feel any sort of pressure from outside folks telling me, how to write or how to market or, how to present myself as a writer. I kind of get to have a voice. That was the reason I wanted to write in the first place. So
and once again, I have to agree with you because that freedom and that flexibility is, oh my gosh, it's everything to not because
yeah.
I don't like uh the deadlines, the hard deadlines of, oh, feeling like there's a crunch and I have to rush something in or put something together. So to
Mhm.
anyone that's listening and thinking about self-publishing, that's definitely a pro.
Mhm.
There are pros and cons to everything, but that is definitely a pro with it right there, being able to, set your own schedules and deadlines and have control. Because I'm
Yeah,
real big on having control over your art and your work.
absolutely.
Now, I think
Absolutely.
you somewhat answered this one uh earlier, but kind of go in depth with this one. Has it been a difficult journey? How has your journey been?
Yeah. I would say honestly for me, because I love writing so much, Writing has been the easiest part of the journey. I think that the difficulty has kind of come in with like, you know, figuring out what to do after you publish, you know. So when you write a book, there seems to be a lot of like excitement for like the first 6 months, maybe the first year if you're popular. And then after that, it's kind of like everybody kind of goes about their day, you know, like the people that wanted to support you already have. So if you want to keep, you know,
Mhm.
selling books or getting your art out there, you have to be really consistent. And so, you know, those are like little big things that I didn't consider beforehand. It's like, you know, thinking about how to have ongoing marketing for your project and what that could look like, being creative about how you do events and, you know, what sort of organizations or businesses to um, have connections with. Those are things I didn't think about when I was like 18 and starting to write my first book. You know, I was just focusing on how fun it was to create. So that's been some of the challenges for sure. And then I'll also say finding the right editor was a challenge for me in the beginning, but I'm very lucky now. The person that I go with now, Lindsay Ellis, is a well-known writer in this region, and sooner or later will be internationally known for her work. And so
Mhm.
she's been really great with my most recent project. But that's a struggle finding an editor that understands what you're trying to say and understands your vision.
And I think it's very important that you stated it the way that you did, and thank you for that, because I think a lot of times as writers, sometimes we feel like that's all we have to do is just write. And there's so much that goes on, behind the scenes, especially if you want, your work to be seen by others. There's a lot more to it than just writing. So I
Yeah,
think that's important for people to understand too. Now, have you
absolutely.
seen more Black self-publishing, and what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading something recently, and they were saying that there has been a 20% increase in Black self published writers since 2020, even. So I think that that is
Mm.
a really, really big deal. And even for people who go with traditional publishing, it's up 5%. I think that more of us are just feeling more confident in telling our stories. I think that a lot of us are getting back to our roots and remembering how important expression is and how important storytelling is to our culture and to our livelihood. You know, it's important that we have a voice as people who have had that restricted. So I think that the more healing we do as a culture, we'll see so many different mediums where we're being represented more than we have been in the past.
And would you say that writing is a form of therapy? Do you think it could be therapy? And if so, has your writing ever helped you through rough times? Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. And I'll also say I'm going to try my best to keep it short because I don't know if you know this, but my day job is actually a therapist. So I could talk about therapy and
Oh,
therapeutic
wow.
things, yeah, for a whole another hour. I'm not even going to take up your time like that. But in short, yes, therapy, writing has been therapeutic for me. And I feel like, you know, it goes really hand in hand um, for me as a clinician because there's not so much I can do with the stories that I hold from my clients, you know, from my friends, from my loved ones. So being able to be creative and write, you know, that's a form of narrative therapy where I can retell a story in a
Mm.
way that feels empowering for me. So it's definitely been therapeutic. And I do research frequently on the importance of expressive healing practices with people of color and how that is necessary for our healing. So, most definitely.
Wow. And see, I didn't even know that that was a thing. What did you call it? Therapeutic writing? What did you call it?
Narrative therapy.
Narrative therapy. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. There are
Wow.
so many types of expressive healing practices, and I try to really encourage that to my clients, especially my Black clients.
That's awesome. How do you how do you prepare when you're starting a new project? What's your um
Ooh.
I guess thing that you have to do?
Yeah. So I would say for me, the first thing I need to do is give it time because since I'm mostly a short story writer, I come up with a short story idea like every day. And sometimes ideas are just ideas. I've learned,
Mhm.
every story idea should not be written. Sometimes it's an intrusive thought, and that's okay. So for me, the first thing I'm gonna do is give it time. So if my rule is if I think about a story 3 times and I come up with at least one character and I can come up with a plot that I'm like, okay, you've been thinking about this thing for a while. Maybe it's a story. But if I just have a fleeting thought of a story, I have to say, you know what, that's not one that you write. We're just gonna put a lid on that and put it in the vault and focus on the story ideas that you already have. So once I establish that it's something that I want to write, I get to brainstorming and storyboard for me, which is just bullet pointing every single thing that I know I want to say. And so after I get that bullet point together, I go in and I start filling it in. So I start kind of adding details and, adding uh, plot and, rise in action and some supporting characters. And before I know it, I have a really, really rough draft. And then I give that time and I come back to it and start editing. So,
Now, when you get to the parts where you said you'll have a plot and you'll have the character, when you have all of those things lined up and you're pretty much ready to go, and then you start it, and let's say you get a blockage, what do you
mm,
normally do to kind of come out of your blockage or things like that to get you back in the flow of it? Is that another thing where you just give it time, or do you have some other
mhm,
thing that you do?
mhm, mhm. I'm actually going to answer this 2 different ways because I think 7 years ago I would have said just keep trying and write what you feel to be. I'm not going to say that anymore. So, two things that I'll say about writer's block now. Um, Sometimes there's a reason why you're taking a break. Sometimes that story needs time or there's something else that you may need to experience or focus on. And so one of the things that I do is just let that happen, and I might focus on a different story that I've started, or I might just take a break and relax and do other things. And I believe that when it's time for me to pick up that project, I will. So that's back to the flexibility of being self-published, is that you're allowed to have a little bit of writer's block or take your time. I
Yeah.
kind of like to look at that as just guidance instead of a writer's block. And then the second part of this, for me, music and writing are kind of close together for me. So if I'm experiencing a writer's block, I will listen to certain songs because often when I'm listening to music, I start to visualize the worlds that I'm writing. So for most things that I've written, like most stories that I've written, I have a playlist for. Like there are certain instruments I kind of associate with different stories. So for me, that's just an opportunity to ground myself, listen to some music, and then when I'm supposed to come back to it, I do.
And see, that's awesome. Now I'm gonna take a page out of your playbook with that, and I'm gonna try that myself because I listen to music sometimes when I get a blockage, but
Mm,
I'm gonna start doing that a lot more because let me tell you what normally happens to me. If I'm writing and I get a blockage, I tend to start working on other things. But
mm,
what happens is I have like 25 different things on the shelf right now because I've started them and then I'll get a block and move on to something else. And I have a bad habit of not coming back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all of these things that I've started that I really need to uh, work on, kind of putting some meat on and getting a lot
Yeah,
of these projects finished.
absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
this question here, I want you to dig in your bag for this one
Mm,
because I know
okay.
there are, like you said, what'd you say, a 20% increase since
Hmm.
2020. So I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure there are a lot more now. So there are a lot of people that are going to be blessed from your answer on this.
Mm.
No pressure. What tips could you give writers that could help them journey as an author and on their journey as being self-published?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, the first part of this question, I would just say don't give up on writing. I think that when we're children, there is an emphasis on creativity. We take art classes or music classes in school, and we make time for creativity, and then we become adults and capitalism happens. And so I get it. We have to focus on work and other things, but don't stop writing. Don't give up on creating something, and how you'll publish it and how you'll market it. All of those details will fall in line when they're supposed to, but focus on the actual writing piece of it. I know a lot of really talented people who aren't writing because they aren't sure how they want to publish, or they aren't sure if it's a good use of time. And so I just would say, if you enjoy writing, it's always a good use of time, regardless of how you publish or if you publish or not. If writing feels
Mm,
therapeutic for you, or if it just feels like something you're compelled to do, then do it. And, things will fall in line. The second part of that, what you need to self publish. Self publishing does not mean you do everything yourself. So I just encourage folks that are interested in self publishing, hire help when you can. So, hire someone to edit. I do a process of beta readers and I hire a professional. Um, that's really important. If you've never self published before or you don't feel completely confident in that process, hire a consultant like we did to walk you through the process so you know more about expectations.
mhm,
And then also, I would say come up with a tiered marketing plan. So, don't just look at what am I going to do with this book for the first 6 months to a year. What are you going to do with this book the first 6 months to a year? And then what are you thinking 5 years from now for this project? And what are you thinking 10 years from now for this project? Because again, after about 6 months, the people who were excited about it have likely already got it. They've already did it, and you put so much work into this project. You want people to know it exists. So just being intentional about your marketing plan.
I absolutely agree. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy day to talk to me and talk to everybody else. Because I mean, you had such great, informative answers. There's a lot of meat in what you said, so I truly appreciate you. And
No,
tell the
thank
people
you.
what you have that's already out there and anything that you have, on the way. The floor is yours. Tell everybody how they can
Yay.
contact you, how they can find your books and things like that.
So, my first book is called The Life and Times of an HBCU Drama Queen. This is a collection of short stories. It is about a girl matriculating through a historically Black college. So, in my experience, I actually thought that this book was going to be marketed to young adult. So, it's listed as young adult, but it actually has served as a really nostalgic book for a lot of folks who are post college. So, it's really good for anyone young adult and over. And for any gender, a lot of people have found stories that book in that book that resonates with them. So The Life and Times of an HBCU Drama Queen is available on my website, hybriejanae.online, and it's also available on Amazon as a Kindle and a printed copy. My second project is called Celestial Nightmares Urban Legend. And this short story collection is very different from the first one.
Ooh.
I don't think it's scary. I have heard that some people have had some nightmares, but it's in the title. But
And you
it's
don't think
very
it's scary?
I
Oh
don't
my
think
god.
I don't think it's scary. But Celestial Nightmares is all about bringing together
I
different
love
genres.
scary myself.
Okay, good. So yeah, I would bet you would find something that you like in this book. So volume one is
Yeah.
about folklores. So it's specifically taking a look at folklores that Black folks in the South and the Midwest might have. So if you have any Southern roots or you heard about superstitious things when you were a kid from your elders, this is a good book for you. There are 8 stories. I really take my time with those stories, whereas The Life and Time is a pretty quick read. Celestial Nightmares is decently quick, but I want you to go on a journey with me in Celestial Nightmares. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, both of those will be young adult and older, both available on Amazon and Kindle, and both available on my website, hybriejanae.online.
Well, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you. I want to tell you I'm very proud of you as well for being self-published and for, having a dream and actually doing something with it. I think that's very important, not only for us as Black people, but for people in general. When you have a dream, when you have something burning inside of you, don't keep it to yourself. Share those gifts because there are so many ways that people can be blessed by things that we create. So continue to be who you are, continue to press forward, continue to be the great author that you are, and keep spitting those books out. And I thank I thank everybody for watching and tuning in. And I'm not quite certain whether I'll do one more show for this year or whether this will be the last one. I don't know for the year, but we have a lot of things coming up in January. I also have the giveaway. And you don't know about this hybrid, but I'm gonna tell you now. So tell all your friends and family to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel King Shit Productions because I'm doing a giveaway on December 20th where I'll be choosing 2 subscribers and it'll be random, but I'll choose 2 subscribers and they'll get $100 a piece. So that'll be a little bit of
Yes,
Christmas cash to go out to people. So I'm excited about that. And
absolutely.
I may get Kev to do a holiday smooth Saturdays. We'll see what's going on with him. But I thank you, Hybrie, and everyone. Please continue to follow, continue to like and subscribe, and go get those books. Go get those books. I'm excited to read those nightmares though, because I'm telling you, I watch horror movies all the time. I
Yes,
love them. So
yes,
I'm I'm excited to read those stories. And I may
absolutely.
even read it and then do like I may do a show or a video, giving a review on those stories. So
Yes.
definitely
Pick,
be on
pick
the lookout for that.
pick the one that you like the most and pick the one that made you the most mad. Because I've heard that some of my main characters are very annoying. So, feel free
Oh,
to let me know which ones you didn't like.
I will definitely let you know that. But I thank you, and if we don't speak again, have a happy holiday season, and be blessed and continue to press forward. And thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll check you all out next time.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.